All right, English 150 students, hello and welcome back. This is the second video of the semester, spring 2020. What I'm going to be doing this time is giving you an overview of the entire semester, the major assignments and the minor assignments, mainly just so your brain can start clicking and the gears can start going, so you can start to come up with ideas about what you want to write for the rest of the semester. So, we'll start with the major assignments. Before I do that, I want to talk about how I grade my major assignments. So, I believe that writing is a process, and I want you to engage in that process without fear. So I try to back that up in my grading system. So the way it works is, I do my writing projects in units. So you've got about 4 weeks for each project, and you're going to do a first attempt at 2 weeks, and then you're going to revise it, and then you're going to turn in your final attempt. And I give you one grade for the entire unit. I don't give individual grades for the little projects that we do along the way. So as part of that, I give you 70% of your grade as just what I call a completion grade. So that means if you turn in everything along the way on time, then you get a 70%. Well, if you turn in everything all the way and you create the very worst thing that's ever been written in the entire world, you still get 70% of your grade, which is a C. Right? So it's 70% of it is pass-fail, basically, if you're turning everything in. After that, I get 30% of your grade to give you what I call a value grade, or I get to evaluate you on how well you actually did in terms of meeting my expectations for what I wanted you to do in that assignment. So, 70% is pass-fail, 30% I get to tell you how well I think you did on the assignment. So that's how they all work, and they all go through that same cycle of 2 weeks, you turn in a first attempt. You try to get it as close to the best you can do in those 2 weeks. Then I give you feedback, and then you get help from peer review from your peers and stuff like that. Then you turn in the final attempt, and that's the one that I grade. So that's the way the grading works. Okay, so now into the big projects. So the first one is called just a personal narrative. So you're going to be telling a story from your own life. You don't need any sources. It's not a research project, you're just, retelling a story from your life. Now, the prompt for this story is that you're telling a story about a time in your life when you changed your mind about something. Okay? So, hopefully your brain is already kicking into gear of saying like, well, when did I change my mind? Have I ever changed my mind? Right? So, basically you'll tell a story of like how you believed one thing about some topic or subject. Then something happened, you're going to narrate the things that happened that then changed your mind about that thing, that topic or that subject, right? So I've written a few of these. I like to do my assignments with my students. So I wrote about how I used to think I was a really good drummer, but then I ended up playing drums with these professional musicians in Mexico and found out that I am not good at all, that I have very poor rhythm and like I kind of know which sequence the drums go in, but I didn't really know. So that's an example. Let's see, another example, students, I'm going to move on, I'm going to cut that part out. So, that's the personal narrative, a time that you changed your mind about something. That one's about 1,000 words, is what we're shooting for. I do my length requirements in words instead of pages, just so we don't have to argue about does this count as a page or not. So 1,000 words is what we're looking for. The second assignment is kind of a weird one. It's called, I call it the baby science assignment. So we're going to have to walk through it step by step. But basically what you have to do is take a category of things. So my usual example is breakfast cereals. Then you choose 10 items in that category. So Cinnamon Toast Crunch, peanut butter cups, Raisin Bran, whatever. Get 10 of those. Then what you have to do is come up with 2 criteria to judge those 10 things, right? So how fast it gets soggy, the sugar content, the box design, how cool the mascot is. You can come up with anything you want, right, to judge these 10 things. So then what you have to do is take each item, judge each of them by the 2 criteria, then you're going to create what's called a scatter plot graph, where you'll have a y-axis and an x-axis, and then you'll have the 10 items plotted on that graph depending on where they end up in those 2 criteria. So then after that you write an accompanying essay which includes the 4 parts of a regular scientific, like lab report type essay. Introduction, methods, results, discussion. So it's kind of a science writing assignment. That's why I call it baby science. But you don't really have to do research. You can do research. A lot of people end up going to Walmart to look at a collection of products or getting online and doing stuff like that. So you do have to tell us where you get your information from, but you're not necessarily required to get those sources. You could do it yourself. You could judge for yourself. Things like that. So that's the baby science assignment. Choosing a category of items, choosing 2 criteria to judge those category of items, then figuring that out, plotting that out as a graph, and writing an accompanying essay. That's the second assignment. The third assignment is called the Change Something Up experiment. And this is a research paper. So what you'll do, about the middle of the baby science assignment, we're all going to start what I call the Change Something Up experiment. So it's going to be your job to pick something from your life, and for 21 days, either stop doing something, start doing something, or do something that you do completely differently. So, for example, I've done it in the past too. I've meditated for 21 days. I've woken up at 5 a.m. I tried to go without my headphones. I didn't spend any money for the time. One time I tried to make money every day for the time. That went terribly. And so the point of it is that you're supposed to have these primary experiences. You take notes, very detailed notes about what happens each day of the experiment, and then you give us a report about what happened, what went well, what didn't go well, and then you'll also do accompanying research. Find people who have done something similar to you, find statistics of how many people regularly do a thing like what you do, and then other scientific papers that discuss like the benefits of doing the thing that you tried to do. So that's the Change Something Up experiment. That's the third big assignment. Then there's some minor assignments throughout the semester. The first is reading logs. So 8 times during the semester, what you do is you have a reading prompt, and then so you read that, and then you have to write me 250 words. So this is the reading log. So 250 words that do 2 things. 1, convince me that you read the assigned reading, and connect it to what we're doing in class. So basically you have to summarize the reading, and then you have to make some sense of it based on what we've done in class. So that's the reading logs. Second thing minor assignment we have is called the student example critiques. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you examples from students from my own class who have done these assignments. It's going to be your job to read them and say what have they done well and what could they improve on. Then I'm going to give you another assignment is email etiquette scenarios. So I'm going to give you a scenario, like a sticky situation where you have to write an email in response to that situation. You're going to write it, and then I will, cold read them and critique you about how did you do, did you handle the situation correctly, how could you have been more professional in those situations, stuff like that. The 4th or 5th, I don't remember, minor assignment is called feedback response letters. So each of the 3 major assignments that I give you, I'm going to give you feedback. This is going to be, because we're in this isolation thing, it's going to be audio feedback. So I'm going to record myself looking at your paper, and you'll hear me responding to, oh, this first paragraph feels out of place, or I think you need to switch these pieces of information, or you totally missed out doing this type of thing, or whatever. So you'll hear me talking about that. Then what you need to do is write me a response letter back to say, here's what I heard from your response, and here's how I'm going to address those issues. The final minor assignment that we have is called Vote with Your Screen, I guess we're going to call it. Oh, I already explained this in the last video. So vote with your screen, that's part of your grade too. So when you and a partner are signed up for that, it will be your job to, you and your partner write the 4 to 6, I call them polarizing statements. You'll see some examples on Wednesday about, whatever topic you guys want to. Those statements will go up, and everyone will vote with their screen. Just haven't figured out how we're going to do it. You'll hold up your hand, or maybe you can hold up like a stick or something. I don't know. We'll have to figure that out. So that way, when we're in Zoom, we'll have the whole screen, and we'll see like the little squares of everybody who's voting with where they are on that subject, and then we can call on you and say, why do you have your hand on the disagree side, or whatever, right? So that way we can facilitate a discussion about all sorts of topics. We can talk about argumentation, talk about, how to have an opinion and how to base that opinion on fact and stuff like that. So overall, those are our minor assignments. So that's the major assignments and minor assignments, and that's the entire semester. There's going to be no other thing that is worth a grade that's surprising you. I may, in a breakout group or something add another assignment, but those are just like things to prompt you to write better, pre-writing activities, things to help you make sense of the assignment or do better or revise it in some way. So those will pop up, but those won't be graded. Those are just, helpful for the major assignments. So that's everything that's graded. You can read all about every single one of these in the syllabus and how much they're worth. So go check that out. Otherwise, get your brain rocking right now about what you want to write for those 3 things. The first one to deal with is the personal narrative, a time that you changed your mind about something. So start talking with your roommate, your mom, your brothers and sisters, your friends, trying to come up with, well, what is a time when I changed my mind about something? Then the baby science, you just have to choose a thing that you're going to look at. And the third is to change. It's a big deal to change something up in your life for 21 days. So start trying to figure out right now. I think that starts, you don't even know when. It's about like the 8th week of the semester or something like that when we start doing that. So start thinking about those things. And that's basically the overview of the entire semester. So get thinking about those. And good luck with everything. Let me know if you have any questions.